Fucking kidding me?
So, good morning. It is February 25th, 2026, and this is State and Local Government Committee. And present are a number of people, but first I want to thank our committee clerk. Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to thank Kristen. Thank you for your work and being here. We have two items on our work session, but first we'll start with introductions with Representative Toole.
Good morning. I'm Representative Will Toole. I represent House District 10 down in the snow ravaged portion of central Washington County.
Great.
Good morning. I'm Joseph Underwood from Central Aroostook County, City of Presque Isle, District 5.
Good morning and nice to see everybody.
Momentary pause, please.
Good morning, I'm Representative Adams. I represent District 144, the beautiful towns of Acton and Lebanon. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. I'm Representative Kimberly Pomelo, and I represent Standish, which is House 85.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lori Gramlich, and I represent House District 131, which remains the lovely seaside community of Old Orchard Beach, and I am also the Assistant House Majority Leader.
Thank you. Representative Farren?
Good morning, Wayne Farren from Jefferson, and I also represent Alna, Wiscasset, Whitefield, all in Lincoln County.
Good morning. I'm Representative Dave Rollins from House District 59, right here in the beautiful capital city.
Welcome. My name is Lynn Copeland, and I'm proud to represent the fine folks in Saco House District 130.
Thank you. I'm Joe Baldacci. I represent Senate District 9, which is the city of Bangor and the town of Herman. And also my House co-chairs on Zoom. Representative Salisbury, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. My name is Sue Salisbury and I represent House District 128, which is part of Westbrook. I'm sorry I can't be with you all today in person.
Well, thank you. And Kristen, we have two items. The first one is LD 2092. You want to start with that?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to pass around an analysis for LD 292.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That's okay. You want to go through the information? I also think that having talked to Anya Trundy, that there's some additional language that might have to be added. We may have to table this, but why don't we see where we go?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, happy to go through the analysis and proceed as you direct.
Yeah.
So this is LD 2092, which is an act to update certain terms and references regarding information technology and cybersecurity. This is also a department bill. For the summary, this bill makes necessary technical changes to update the statutes governing the Department of Administrative and Financial Services Office of Information Technology to align with recent statutory updates and best practices. The bill does the following. It allows the Chief Information Officer to have an authorized designee in certain instances. It includes certain definitions to align with the recently enacted definition of cyber attack, and updates terminology to reflect national best practices for cybersecurity and information security. It updates language regarding the mission of the office to reflect the bill's terminology changes. And it updates a provision of statute regarding competitive bidding to allow the office to procure information technology products or services necessary to detect, prevent, and respond to cyber attacks. For public hearing information, this bill was heard on January 28th. For a little bit of background information, the testimony provided by the department noted that unprecedented growth in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and a dramatic increase in cyber threats have resulted in a host of new federal and state data protection laws and regulations. And as a result, the statutes governing the state's use of technology requires amending to keep pace and accurately reflect OIT, or the Office of Information Technology's present-day mission and ensure compliance with best practices. The department's testimony outlines 5 main objectives of the bill and cites the section of the bill that correspond with each stated objective. For relevant law or statute, this bill enacts 2 provisions of law under Title V, Section 1825B, which is appended, subsection 2, and that relates to sections 1 through 4 of the bill. The bill also amends as well as enacts new provision of law under Title V, Sections 1971 to 1975, which are the statutes governing the Office of Information Technology, specifically the qualifications, powers, and duties of the Chief Information Officer, certain terms used in the chapter and that you will see in the bill as printed, and outlining noncompliance, that section of statute. Those are sections 5 through 15 of the bill. And lastly, sections 16 and 17 of the bill particularly amend Title V, Section 1981, which governs the mission and duties of the Office of Information Technology. So I have appended each of those statutes. For additional information, I have the definition of cyber attack that is added as a component of the bill, and it is referenced as a cross-reference. So just in case that helps members, the definition as cross-referenced has been included under additional information. For potential issues for consideration and proposed amendments, there was a concern raised in the testimony by the Department of the Secretary of State, noting that due to the separate constitutional authority for the department's work, the department has its own IT department called Information Services. And that separation from main IT allows the department to fulfill their responsibilities to keep elections, motor vehicle data, and archival records safe and secure. And they noted that that separation is particularly important in the realms of election and motor vehicle data. The department raised that concern regarding certain provisions of the bill that could limit the authority of the Department of the Secretary of State or negatively impact their ability to manage their own IT infrastructure and services. And they cited in particular 4 specific sections that raised those concerns, and I reproduced that directly from their testimony. So the committee may wish to seek further clarification from the department on the concerns raised, and those are in sections 6, 10, 16, and 17, and I noted their concerns below. The Department of the Secretary of State also stated in their testimony that they would welcome the opportunity to work with the Department of Administrative and Financial Services in order to ensure appropriate carve-outs for the role of the Department of the Secretary of State regarding those sections. And lastly, for fiscal information, not yet determined by OFPR.
Okay. Other questions for Kristen? Okay, seeing none, I would ask Ms. Trundle if you could come forward and let us know where the discussions are in terms of the clarifications.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm Anya Trundy. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Administrative and Financial Services. So the update that I wanted to provide you all this morning is that we have met with the Secretary of State's office. I think that we're at a place where we have good agreement about what we are looking to do in terms of maintaining the status quo and the balance between OIT and the Secretary of State's office. I think we have a sense of where we need to add some additional language to the bill that would possibly reference other sections of statute where the Secretary of State's authority is laid out specific to the voter registration statutes and the BMV databases. What I would ask from you, because we don't have that language all sorted out yet, is the ability to work with Kristen to have her help us draft that language so it's fine-tuned to not expand the Secretary of State's independence beyond what it is currently and not curtail information technology and the CIO's authority from where it stands currently. We want to maintain the balance that exists currently. And so the ask is that we can hopefully have a little bit more time to do that and fine tune that language because I think it needs to be very, very specific and that the exact words will matter. And then if you guys have any questions today about substantive aspects of the bill, I do have the state's CIO here today, and he would be happy to answer any of those questions.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Oh, yes. So Representative Underwood.
What is the purview? What does the CIO, what does he cover for the area? Does he just cover administrative, or does he do any legislative, or?
Representative Underwood, the legislature has its own information technology department, so it is independent of the Office of Information Technology, which primarily is over the executive branch. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any. Do you want to make any comments?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Depending on the will of the committee, if the committee wants to proceed with any of the requests of the department, if those could be articulated, I can follow the directives of the committee.
Okay, great. And is there a motion? Yes, or a question? Representative Copeland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any other carve outs where our CIO is not covered? So we have the Secretary of State's office and then we have the legislature. Are there any other ones?
In the CIO statute, there is specifically a definition for semi-autonomous state agencies, which excludes the constitutional officers and the legislative branch in the definition, but that would be those would be like quasi-independent state agencies.
Okay, any other questions? Representative Tool?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the Secretary of State, could we hear from her, just, her office? Just to see what their take on all of this is?
Yes, I'll give up my chair for Emily.
Thank you. Good morning, Deputy Secretary of State Emily Cook. I'm the department's Senior Policy Director. I would just echo what Ms. Trundy said. We have met. We are in agreement on what the appropriate path forward is, the sections that need a sentence or so to make sure that the working relationship balance stays the same, and in agreement that working deliberatively with Kristen to make sure that those words are precise is important, but I think our working relationship on this has been good.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you're just looking for a motion with a little direction, correct?
Certainly, if it's the will of the committee to table the bill and there's any directives that you'd like me to do in the meantime, you could, if you don't mind articulating that, I'm happy to proceed as the committee would like to direct.
Okay, is there a motion
Move that we table this motion.
with the direction that the Kristen work with the Secretary of State's office and the DAF's people to come back with clarifying language? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay. Appears to be unanimous, or I don't know, we're just tabling a bill. Okay.
Tabling it up.
Appears to be unanimous of those present.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
And if I
Chris.
may, Mr. Chair, just for the record, I believe the motion was made by Representative Rollins, and may I kindly ask who seconded the motion?
Representative Farren.
Thank you very much. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then the next item is LD 2180. Okay, go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is LD 2180, an act to make changes to the laws regarding the Department of Administrative and Financial Services, Bureau of Human Resources, and the State Civil Service Appeals Board. This is a department bill as well. For the summary, this bill makes various changes to the laws related to the State Civil Service Appeals Board and Department of Administrative Financial Services, Bureau of Human Resources, and their functions. Part A of the bill adds exemptions to the laws governing the unauthorized practice of law for a person who is not an attorney, but is representing the state before the State Civil Service Appeals Board on a reclassification, reallocation, or reorganization appeal, or is representing the state before an arbitrator related to a grievance filed under a collective bargaining agreement. Part B amends the laws governing the procedure an aggrieved employee and a state department or agency head must follow in order for a dispute to be submitted to the State Civil Service Appeals Board. And Part C eliminates the employee suggestion system. For public hearing information, this bill was heard last week on February 18th. For background information, Title V, Section 7082, which has been appended, outlines the powers and duties of the State Civil Service Appeals Board. The State Civil Service Appeals Board may mediate the final settlement of all grievances and disputes between individual state employees, both classified and unclassified, and their respective state agencies, and hear appeals except where otherwise provided by a governing bargaining agreement by an employee, any employee, or appointing authority aggrieved by the determination of the state human resources officer concerning the classification of positions, the allocation of new positions, or the reallocation of existing positions in the classified service in accordance with the provisions established by law. I pulled that excerpt from that statute, but the full statute providing a little bit more information about the State Civil Service Appeals Board has also been appended. Definitions of terms used in this bill can also be found in an appended section, Title V, Section 7032, should that be useful to committee members. There is some reference in the testimony and in the bill is printed to classified service as well as unclassified service. So I did include those definitions there in case that may be helpful to the committee in understanding the content of the bill. For relevant law or statute, just breaking down a little bit greater detail from the summary component in relation to the portions of the bill. So Title IV, Section 807 governs the unauthorized practice of law, which is what Part A of the bill addresses. So Part A, Sections A1 to A4 of the bill amends or enacts new language under that title, specifically under subsection 3, which currently outlines 22 specific circumstances where the prohibition on the unauthorized practice of law shall not be construed to apply. So the committee can currently see other examples in statute there. Part B of the bill amends Title V, Sections 7083 and 84, both appended. Section 7083 governs the procedure that must be followed to permit the involvement of the State Civil Service Appeals Board in the settlement of a grievance or a dispute between a state employee and the agency of the state by whom the state employee is employed. And Section 7084 governs specifically applications for extensions. So you can see the existing statute there. And Part C of the bill removes references to and repeals Title V, Chapter 56A, which has been appended. And that specifically, that chapter governs the employee suggestion system, a system in statute established to encourage by means of cash or honorary awards state employees to find substantial savings and efficiencies in state operations is the definition presently in statute. For additional information, I will note that the testimony provided by the Bureau of Human Resources included additional history and background information on what the employee suggestion system is and included a chart that illustrates the operation of the system as established by law currently. For fiscal information, not yet determined by OFPF.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. Is there any, Representative Salisbury, this is your bill. Did you want to make any comments?
Yes, I'm sorry. Both of these bills today are mine and I'm not even here for the work sessions. I'm sorry about that. No, I appreciate the analysis of the bill and I'm sure that Anya can answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Anybody wish to address any of the issues that have been raised, or are we all set? Any questions for, okay, Representative Copeland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Why would we eliminate the employee suggestion system rather than revise it? Anybody?
Good morning. I'm Margaret Eddy, Legislative Policy Analyst for Bureau of Human Resources. Thanks so much. The Employee Suggestion Program has been revised at least once in my knowledge and maybe more than once to try to make it better and has made it a little more complicated and a little more administratively of a heavy lift. But of course, this committee and this legislature could revise or replace anything that they would see fit to do. But just as the department that's currently handling the procedure by which this the suggestions come through. We're just noting that it's not a cost saver because it takes a lot more of our time and does not reward employees.
Representative Copeland, do you have other questions?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
So what is it about the process that's cumbersome and not making it worth it? I think hearing what employees, what their suggestions are is an important thing in an
Sure.
employment situation.
I totally agree. And it feels like it's not like an employee friendly situation. I totally get that. And we really do appreciate all the work the employees do. I think that the parameters by which a suggestion could actually make it through to be considered for an award include it's not part of the employee's actual job. It's like they can't come up with some cost savings that is part of their job to do anyway. It has to be sort of outside their job description. It has to be there has to be no change in law. There has to be no affecting of a collective bargaining agreement. There has to be, it can't be duplicative of something that's already been done. And then usually the cost savings has to be proven. So they can make a suggestion and then the suggestion has to be implemented and then the cost savings shown and then they can get a reward based off that cost savings. And so, and then I testified at the public hearing that we had 73 suggestions since 2009. And I actually misspoke. It was 173, but the same amount of suggestions got through the vetting process, which was 4. And out of those 4 suggestions, 1 was awarded a cash award. And it's actually recently, and I helped with that. If you want more information about the one that did make it through all of the steps to get through. So I find that it is more frustrating for an employee to try and make a suggestion and try to make that and go through this process and sort of be lost in sort of a bureaucratic maze and then have nothing really happen from it.
Well,
Go right ahead.
so I'm not convinced that a financial incentive is needed in this scenario, but I'm curious why somebody can't talk about suggestions on their own work that they know intimately. Why is that?
They absolutely can. They can do that. It's just that this program was instituted to reward a cost savings for the state. And if someone's, I think that the rules governing, the what awards and what suggestions can be given that award. It's if your job at the state is to, I'm just going to come up with an example off the top of my head. If your job is like to try to get contracts and you try to pick the one that saves the most money, well, that's your job. So you can't then go to the employee suggestion program and try to get an award of 10% of the cost savings because your job is to pick the most cost saving contract. So it's like one of those things. And there's other ways that we recognize employees. And then I'm sure that there could be other ways that the legislature could do to reward employees good work. But when they're doing a great job as an employee, there's other ways. There's employee of the year in every agency, there's manager of the year, there's special merit increases from supervisors. So we're not trying to say to not recognize employees for good work that they're doing at their job. But this specific program administratively involves a lot of like HR directors and higher up administrative people, including commissioners, to make a decision. And it's not resulted in any tangible benefit really for almost every employee who's tried. The system itself is complicated and we tried to fix it to make it more transparent. And I think it's more transparent, but it still is slow and requires quite a bit of administrative work in our office.
That's disappointing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Representative Rollins.
Thank you. So that's a pretty good exposure to the program, the number of attempts that
Yeah.
we've made. What are some of the feedback from the employees? A, about what we did, and B, about getting rid of it.
So specifically, I don't have feedback about getting rid of it because I did not poll the employees for that. I don't have a lot of feedback about what employees who have gone through the process because it's been a process for many, many years. In fact, like the data we have is from 2009, but it was I think the law was revamped in 2004, I believe. And so I think there's been some frustrations, but a lot of the suggestions sort of get stopped at this was duplicative, this was already suggested, we've already implemented this, and that did stop. I don't have like record of employees saying, now I'm very frustrated and this made me mad. I know that we did successfully get an employee to go through the system and get a cash award just this year, actually, and I was part of it. And he's a great employee. Like he's a picture, you'd love to see, he'd just be like the picture perfect state employee because he loves working for the state. And he just made a suggestion, but he made a couple suggestions. One of them supposedly saved the state $32,000. It saved his department $32,000, but it didn't save the state because risk management had to pay $31,000. So he wasn't able to be awarded on that cost savings, although his department was super pleased with him. They wanted him recognized. He really wants other people. He wanted a certificate rather than money because he wanted people to see that he was proud of working for the state, and he wanted other workers to be proud of that. I mean, of course, he wasn't like, don't give me money. That's, I'm not saying that, and then he was actually awarded based on another thing that he did, but the cost savings had already been achieved. And it's so rare. And getting him through that process took, I want to estimate 6 months. I think it was about 6 months to get through that process, for then the board of 3 commissioners to listen to it on a memo that I wrote that we had to brief them on. So we had time from the commissioners, days as well. And they were not upset about doing that either. It's like he is a delightful person. And so, but just one person to be awarded out of it's been over 15 years of people trying, and people don't try that much either because they just get stopped at that level of, has this already been achieved? Have we, can you change a law? You can't make a suggestion that says you should fire Ralph and we'll save a lot of money if you fire Ralph, because we can't do that. So that's, there were suggestions like that. People think,
I'm glad that Ralph is protected.
yeah, Ralph's job is protected. Ralph is my imaginary friend.
Yeah. So what I just would throw this out there. I think if members of the committee, and I appreciate the explanation, but if there are members of the committee that want to take out Part C, maybe, and I appreciate what you've been saying, but if there are members of the committee who want to take out Part C and maybe ask that they come back in the next session, through, a letter or something that, with suggestions on that the legislature values employee input, and we would be interested in ways to improve this process. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in that or not, but I just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility. So
moved.
okay. Okay. So it's moved and seconded ought to pass as amended. Yeah, Will.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would support that motion as well. I think with the new administration coming in, it doesn't hurt to keep that process intact, let a fresh pair of eyes look at it and make a determination then and there whether it needs to be kept or deleted. So I wouldn't want to see a bill derailed because of that. So totally on board with the motion.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, Representative Palmer.
Can I ask for a small caucus? Just
Sure.
a short one.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll take a brief recess.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, so what they would do is they're just taking us.
Hello.
Hello.
Representative Pomelo, did you want to make any comments or anything?
No, we're all set.
Okay.
We're ready.
So I think the ought to pass as amended would be to take out part C with some direction that we are interested in employee input and particularly in ways that help the state save either money or time. And we would like you guys to come back in the next session with some recommendations to make that more possible or more feasible. You know, in terms of administration, and that would be basically the, you know, what the direction we would like to ask. Okay, instead of just eliminating the program, can we make it better? Yeah, Kristen, you had.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering, earlier prior to the caucus, I know part of the motion, there was a request for a letter. I don't know if that has changed or if the committee had articulated what they
Well,
wanted.
I don't mean necessarily a letter, but direction that I
Okay.
just gave.
All set. Thank you.
All those, okay, we have to take a roll call. I would just note for the purpose of the record being an attorney, that this is a vote to reduce the use of attorneys. You know, how often does that happen?
We're only useful sometimes.
Yeah. No, come.
Thank you.
Representative Tool,
Yes.
Representative Tool, yes. Representative Underwood,
Yes.
Representative Underwood, yes. Representative Adams.
Yes.
Representative Adams, yes. Representative Pomelo,
Yes.
Representative Pomelo, yes. Representative Greenwood, absent. Representative Gramelich,
Yes.
Representative Gramelich, yes. Representative Salisbury,
Yes.
Representative Salisbury, yes. Senator Baldacci,
Yes.
Senator Baldacci, yes. Senator Martin,
Yes.
Senator Martin, yes. Senator Bibi Center, absent. Representative Copeland,
Yes.
Representative Copeland, yes. Representative Rollins,
Yes.
Representative Rollins, yes. Representative Farron,
Yay.
Representative Perrin, yay. With 11 members, 11 members present, the vote is ought to pass as amended.
Thank you. I apologize, Anya. We might have to do this vote again because we do have and I apologize to the committee. DAFs had given us an additional amendment that's here. I don't know if you have a copy. Yeah, why don't you come forward and we may have to do another ought to pass as amended ×2. These look like mostly just technical corrections. Is that correct?
Yes.
For wording?
Yes, what you have in front of you is just language that clarifies the, it's on page 2 of the bill, section 3, it's lines 11 through 17, that what you have in front of you would be amending slightly, but it's not amending anything in intent. It is really just like spelling it out more explicitly. And this was feedback that we had gotten from one of the attorney generals, or the assistant attorney generals, who is frequently in front of the Civil Service Appeals Board, that they thought this would be clarifying. So it's not the end of the world. And maybe it's even something that is even just language review. So it really isn't substantive. It is really
Yeah,
just
no,
to
I see that. 'Cause
make
you're-
it clearer.
Right, fewer run-on sentences.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Just leave it for language review.
If that's the will of the committee, everybody okay with dealing with this? in
I'll
language
like,
review?
you should be the
Okay.
judge of that.
Thank you. Just seeing it, I have been provided with this. It looks like, and again, I apologize, I'm just seeing this right now, but it does look like it's more than just like, changing plurality or grammar. And again, maybe when I see the full thing in front of me, up to the committee, but perhaps if it were the will of the committee, if that were to be reconsidered and, permission be given perhaps to me to work with, like, to understand maybe what the directives of the committee are, if it is the will of the committee to incorporate this language that I'm just seeing now.
You'd prefer a formal vote?
The directive of the committee, but I think as a matter of procedure,
Okay.
it would certainly then be
Okay.
clear what the will of the committee was.
Okay. Is there a motion to reconsider? It's been moved and seconded. Oh, do we have to take a roll call on that?
Hands.
No? Okay, all those in favor of reconsidering? Okay, and then is there a motion,
See it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a copy. Oh, yeah. Is there a motion ought to pass as amended with the prior direction we had in part C, and then these more technical clarifications by the department? Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call. We had extra time, anyway. We're really way ahead of schedule.
And Mr. Chair.
Go right, oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just as a point of clarification, it was already articulated, but you had mentioned ought to pass as amended, taking out part C and the language provided. Do I have the permission to work with the department to
Yes.
receive? Okay, thank you very much. That's the clarification I needed.
Representative Tool,
Yes.
Representative Tool, yes. Representative Underwood?
Yes.
Representative Underwood, yes. Representative Adams?
Yes.
Representative Adams, yes. Representative Pomelo?
Yes.
Representative Pomelo, yes. Representative Greenwood, absent. Representative Gramlich?
Yes.
Representative Gramlich, yes. Representative Salisbury?
Sorry, yes.
Yes. Representative Salisbury, yes. Senator Baldacci?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Martin?
Yes.
Senator Martin, yes. Senator Beebe Center, absent. Representative Copeland?
Yes.
Representative Copeland, yes. Representative Rollins?
Yay.
Representative Rollins, yay. Representative Farren?
Yay.
Representative Farren, yay. With 11 members present, the vote is ought to pass as amended.
Okay, twice. There we go. Got it done right the second time. Is there any other matters to come before the committee at this point?
I do have a couple items for language review if the
We might as
committee would
well
be
take them
interested in,
up. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So language review, the first item is a minority report amendment on LD 2148. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. So this is what's being passed around now is the minority report amendment. This is LD 2148, an act to amend the laws governing the health insurance premium cap for state employees. Starting in the very back of the packet, the last page, you will see a vote sheet so members can see which report they are on. This is a three-way report. That was a majority ought to pass, a minority ought to pass is amended as one of the reports, and the third minority report was ought not to pass. So the one ought to pass as amended report that you will see is the minority report amendment, and that changed the percentage increase in the consumer price index as defined in section 17001 subsection 9, plus the percentage being changed was 6% instead of 10%.
Okay, so the members of the minority or that are on this report, do they have questions or concerns? Okay. Sounds like we can go ahead with this report.
Thank you. This was initial drafting, so we will continue to see that language again when it comes back for final language review.
Okay.
I have one other item, Mr. Chair.
Go
if
right
that may
ahead.
be. Thank you.
Now, this is on 1741.
That is correct, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
is this was it a unanimous report?
That is correct. It's unanimous of those registering a vote. So this is a committee amendment.
Okay, and what language would you like to draw our attention to?
Certainly, thank you. The top packet. So yes, this is, as the chair mentioned, this is a unanimous report of the committee. The printed bill is in the back, and you'll see the in-between pages I included, so also some members wouldn't have to pull out their folders, but this is the one where we had, the committee had asked, to work with Sheriff Brackett, on some language regarding amending, the county law enforcement statutes as it related to the provisions, and you'll see section 1 of this bill. So the top page is the final language. The page prior, includes the OPLA language that the committee received, and reviewed around February 6th. You can see, the language that the committee had directed was, in that section 1 of that bill. It has changed just a little bit more clarification has been added. So the final language the committee would be reading in this section that changed from the OPLA review is just in section 1 of the bill, which is in 30A 371B subsection 2. It's that last underlined statement in lines 24 through 29 that reads, if the county committee submits one or more recommendations to the governor, the chief deputy exercising the same rights and powers of the sheriff in the case of a vacancy in the office of sheriff pursuant to section 385 subsection 1 must be included for consideration for appointment as sheriff if the chief deputy is enrolled in the same political party as the sheriff whose term is vacant. So there's a little bit more language that was used, but the directive of the committee, the language was used to avoid a possible issue with talking about an acting sheriff that could have had a constitutional issue. So that language was expanded to make that accommodation.
Okay, is there any questions? No? Is everybody comfortable with it? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes the 2 items for language review I had
Great.
today.
So I think we will take a recess and come back at 11:30. Thank you. Thank you. That o'clock is wrong, but what I have for standard time is 11:33, so I think we can get started. Ms. Hayes, come forward, please, and thank you for being here. And we have a number of some briefings on the Maine Municipal Bank, and why don't you take the floor? And thank you for the grapes, a healthy snack that you provided today.
Well, I gave you the killer brownies last time, so I
Mm.
figured I had to balance this.
Yeah, we
Um,
appreciate that.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I gave some thought about this because I've been on that side of the horseshoe for this activity 3 times, and I've been on this side of the horseshoe now. This is my 3rd time. And this is the best time going through the process, and I think it was Kristen's rubric that really made it easier. And I know it didn't feel that way when we were talking about all the different colors. But we took this back, and you have a copy in front of you. There are 2 big, large white pages. The thing to understand is that the policy is the same for the bond bank, and for the Government Facilities Authority. So one of these is for the bond bank and the other is for the Government Facilities Authority. It's the same language, the same policies, the same staffing. So either one, if you were to look at it, we took the work that Kristen had done and put the law right on the top. And then the specific components of the policies is in the shaded area down on the left. We made it bigger because we had more words to write and we wouldn't fit on the page. So with each of the pieces in the very middle section is the language that's in the policies and, information about the practice. On the far right, there's a column for you to make notes or to reference whether you feel the language meets the requirements of the policy or whether it does not. And it's specific to the items that Kristen had identified in the state law. If you turn it over, it continues on the next page with the travel, meals and entertainment reimbursement. And then what the documentation is, it references the different colors if you want to see those details. With that far right-hand column again for notes and do you think it meets or not? And then at the very bottom, this is the criteria around competitive procurement and reported contributions. Those come from letters that are already in your packet. I'm going to turn this back over to the very first page. It's 1 of 2 written on the bottom right hand. So it says 1 of 2 MMBB. In the section that relates to contributions, which is the bottom gray section on your left, there are 4 different components. And when we took apart what we were doing, we found that 2 of these, we felt strongly that our practices were consistent with what the state requirement is, but our policy didn't say that. And the weakness in that is as staff turns over, will practices be maintained? So there's, in addition to the white sheets there is a blue sheet. And the blue sheet has 2 recommended changes. One is adding information, bless you, and the blue sheet proposes, there's this one, the first one is letter B, that has a 1 at the bottom of it. Let's just look at that specifically. It's contribution, sponsorships, and membership procedure policy was approved by the board with a time frame, and the pages are listed there 4 to 6. When we get down to item B, that only partially meets what we felt the statute required. So we have added some language here that we will add to the policy as a result of this exercise so that we institutionalize the practice that has been occurring anyway, but wasn't detailed. And I believe the same thing is true when you look down. The second piece is relative to the same item, contributions and C. We keep track of all the contributions separately, but we didn't have a separate place, if you will. So we want to make sure that in the future, that will budget contributions separately from other expenditures in the annual budget, will record contribution transactions using a distinct account code and chart of accounts for the chart of accounts category, and then will ensure that the contribution expenditures are readily identifiable and reportable independently from sponsorships, membership, travel, marketing, and general operating costs. So I come back to you and say, from our detailed look through, we believe that the policies in general that we have are appropriate or adequate with those two suggested additions, and those are changes that we can make at this point in time that I think would make this a shorter conversation in 2 years. Unless y'all change the rules, right?
So let me ask, are there any questions by members of the committee?
Comment.
Yes, Senator Martin?
After looking at both of her suggestions, I think they're very good ones. And I can't see anything else that we need to put into the letter. It's my comment.
Okay. Anyone else? Representative Rollins?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couple of questions. The first one is, during the first hearing, I had a specific area that caught my eye and we talked about it. And as I remember, it was under a specific area where competitive bidding may be waived. And it didn't articulate it. We both kind of agreed, or more than just the two of us, that you would look at that.
Well, there are some circumstances that require it. There may be only one vendor. For example, if it's only one entity that we can find that has what we need or can perform the service that we're looking for. The other one is timing. I think I talked about that when I was here last time, particularly around the internet vulnerability that was discovered. Having discussed that internally, we didn't come forward recommending any change, but fully expect that we disclose that information when we've had to make those decisions. Some of the earlier colored sheets that you have are examples of letters that we send that are required in addition to this exercise. And we've identified those pieces there. So if it's the wish of the committee that we do that differently, I'm all ears, but we didn't come up with a language change there that we thought would be sufficient to take in the reality. Does that?
No, I hear you.
Okay.
My concern is 12 years from now, when a different cast of characters are here, that there's just a little bit more depth to what the circumstances might be without drilling down so deep that it's a paragraph a little bit too long and run on. But I would definitely defer to the balance of the committee's feeling on that. That was my concern. And I understand how you handled it and how I have no doubt that you, in your tenure, that would be done. But in the future, I don't know. I put it out to the committee. The other thing is, are we the only, and is this the only circumstances where we have these kind of quasi reviews?
What do you mean? Are these
Quasi
Are
independent?
there other quasi-independent agencies?
Yeah, that could utilize this form.
Okay.
I'm saying replicate this around.
Certainly. So the Maine Municipal Bond Bank and the Maine Government Facilities Authorities are the only quasi-independent state entities under the jurisdiction of SLG. But you are correct, and that was one of the statutes provided that there are other entities that are reviewed. And this is mostly a uniform practice, actually, within our office presently. Obviously, different committees may request for information to be presented differently, but the presentation of a rubric is mostly
SLG
uniform.
can't take credit.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, sir.
Senator Martin, you had
Yeah,
some.
just to answer you, I think that there's 3 asterisks under B. Okay, no, then I don't have anything else. Good. Pointing it out to you if you didn't see it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that was, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for direction. Is that correct?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So at this time, also, if the committee doesn't mind returning to one of the previous materials, you certainly don't have to, but if it may be helpful, I did provide examples of past letters that have come from the State and Local Government Committee in prior years. So if the committee wants to make some type of motion or recommendation for me to include in the letter, which is required to be sent to the government, the GOC, regarding the review of the Maine Government Facilities Authority, it'd be two separate letters. So how the committee wants to proceed with that, as long as it is clear that it is a recommendation for either or each one, that you would report certain information as to the review and any changes that you have. Broadly speaking, the statute requires you to report whether or not you believe the policies and procedures are consistent with the expectations, if the waivers of competitive procurement are in compliance with the policies they've adopted, and then any reported contributions are in compliance, which I believe do not apply in this particular review. But if the committee is able to articulate its satisfaction or changes with any of those elements, I can document that and make sure it is put in the letter that is required to be sent to the Government Oversight Committee pursuant to statute.
Okay, it's very well explained. Thank you very much. And Ms. Hayes, thank you very much for not only for your presentation today, but also for your public service over many years. Thank you. I know the Maine Municipal Bond Bank does a lot of important work all over the state, and it's very important. And I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege.
And I would ask the committee, are we satisfied with the recommendations that have been made? And would someone like to make a motion saying that? Okay, don't all jump at once.
So moved.
Okay. Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Can we take a voice vote or a hand vote?
Certainly.
And all those in agreement?
It appears to be unanimous of those registering a vote today are
Yeah.
present. Thank you very much. So, and just to clarify,
Thank you.
that was the vote for the committee for me to provide those two required letters with the recommendations as provided in the blue sheet by the Facilities Authority and the Bond
Correct.
Bank.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can proceed with that directive.
Okay, and I think, and Ms. Hayes, thank you. We'll keep the grapes.
No,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. And just let Liv know that I'll be back for the
For the bowl, okay,
at some point.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I find thank you for all this.
It really is a privilege.
And Kristen, I understand you have some announcements.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Before, it is my understanding that a decision has been made regarding the budget work session this afternoon.
Yes. We're gonna ask that it be rescheduled.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I believe the Elena, the committee clerk, is in the process of sending out that notice for the folks that were invited for the 1 p.m. I do see Representative Salisbury hands is raised, and then at this point, if she were to be recognized, I'm then happy to talk about announcements or other things related
Yeah,
to the
sure.
budget.
Representative Salisbury?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in relation to the budget, yesterday we had a public hearing. Thank you, Rep. Pomelo, for attending. We received some good information. We were able to ask some questions of the different departments that were there to present their parts of the supplemental budget. We did also get some testimony from the Maine Employees Union, who provided some information regarding attrition rate and information about money that was being allocated that would go towards negotiations and their concerns around that. That information not being listed in the supplemental budget. We did request some information through Kristen, and there was information requested from the AFA committee. Just in light, I think a number of people have to leave for before our budget work session was supposed to start at 1 o'clock. And we do need some more information. I recommended to Senator Baldacci that perhaps we move this until Monday. We do already have a scheduled work session for Monday. So that'll give it more opportunity for that information to be acquired. I appreciate the people that were willing to come today to talk about some of that information, but hopefully we'll be able to get information or hear from them on Monday. So that'll be good. I appreciate everybody, and please, anybody that is leaving, I hope you can drive safely because it does look like it's snowing. At least down here in Westbrook it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Chair Salisbury and Kristen, you have some announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, just briefly, so members know what is on their table as we prepare for the budget work session on Monday. The budget documents that you will need for the review have been distributed and I believe are on your table in this packet. Yes, exactly as members are showing, it has your name at the top and is in this clear packet. Those are all the materials that you will need. After the public hearing, the report back document, which that's what it's referred to, the document that we use to report back the recommendations of the committee to AFA has been distributed. That's on green. So this is the document that we will use to collect any recommendations or votes by the committee at the work session. And should it be helpful or useful to members, I do have a table of contents that's been passed around on yellow that will help committee members track where in the budget document an initiative is referenced and then where it appears in the report back document. All the public hearing testimony, as Chair Salisbury mentioned, has been collected and put in either inside your binder or in the folder that was connected to your binder. So you should have all those materials for your review, and I will work with the parties that were invited for the work session today that's been scheduled for Monday to ask if they can be present or provide any additional information that has been requested.
Okay. Any other announcements you wish to make?
That concludes the portion that I had. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative Brenner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kristen, I don't have that packet that you're referring to. No, I don't have it. I did dig in. I was there yesterday for a little while. I know exactly what I'm looking for and I don't have it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I'd be pleased to.
This packet right here, is that what you mean?
Correct. Yes, I
Okay.
don't have it.
I would be
Yeah.
pleased to see if it maybe got lost in the shuffle and we can always have a new one made, but thank you
I
for.
appreciate it just because I was only there briefly yesterday. So I did thumb through it a little bit, but I would love to have a more ample opportunity to review it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Questions, comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Boy, I can get another one.
Okay, we might have.